Okay, it is 3:34. I'd like to call this meeting of the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. A quorum of board members is present. Dr. Montgomery is, she's on the screen, as you can see. She's video conferenced in. Hi, Dr. Montgomery. I don't know if you can see me or not. This meeting has been duly called and a notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. At this time, I'd like to, for us to go into a moment of silence and or meditation, and then we'll say the pledge. Please stand. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. And now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all for joining us. This is a special board meeting. We are having this meeting because out of an abundance of just making sure we're doing the right thing in a timely manner, we wanted the opportunity to get together and handle some board business and some school business, if you will. At this time, before we get started, we have next on our agenda public comments. Do we have anyone signed up, Becca? None. Okay. That being said, the board is at this time going to go into closed session. We are going to stay right here. We ask that you all exit the auditorium, and we will call you back when we're done. Appreciate you. It is 4:36. Is our recording back on, Ms. Carly? Thank you. We will reconvene in open session. Thank you all for being so patient. As you can imagine, these are changing times for us. This is uncharted territory, and we needed the opportunity to come together as a board, a team of 8, to discuss all of the various things that needed to be discussed. We take our health and safety of our students and our community very seriously, and so we just needed that opportunity. So again, I just want to say publicly thank you, Dr. Smith, for all that you have done, you and your team. The BISD staff is just bars none. They have just really stepped up to the plate, and you all are chartering us in these waters we've never been in before. And so I appreciate, the board appreciates all that you are doing and going to do for us. We're going to move right into our next item on the agenda, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding resolution for emergency closure and response to COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Smith.
Madam President, members of the board, as you just said, we are living in unprecedented times right now when it comes to public education in the state of Texas and across the nation. And I need to very first and foremost say we have an amazing team in Belton ISD that is working on trying to figure everything out. And that goes from the business and operations things on a regular basis to the education of kids and what this could look like or what it might not look like, and brainstorming and all of the above. And so I need to make sure we thank them. One of the things that we have realized in all of this is that if this health situation, this pandemic that we have, continues to escalate across our nation, we wanted to be able to continue to do business, essential business, that we know is important for our school district. And there are a couple key things in that is we have staff here that is going to have to work if we are ever closed for an extended period of time to actually provide education for students in a different manner than they ever have before. So paying our staff and continuing to pay our staff is a really important thing in all of this. We also need to be able to think through how we execute contracts and how we actually work through some of the challenging situations if we're not face-to-face, or if we can actually have a board meeting. And so the resolution that you have in front of you tonight allows us to actually continue doing business on a regular basis and to value those things and to make sure that the morale of our staff is an important piece of all of this so that we can innovate and transform the way we do things in these times of change for our district and for our county and for our state.
Before we take action on the resolution, Madam Mayor, Secretary is going to read the resolution.
All right. Whereas the rapid spread of novel coronavirus has resulted in a pandemic that poses significant threats to the public health and safety of the students of Belton Independent School District, whereas the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees has a substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community, and therefore desires to ensure the Belton ISD that Belton ISD and community are prepared to the fullest extent possible regarding COVID-19. Whereas on March 13th, 2020, the governor of the state of Texas declared a statewide emergency, and later that same day, the president of the United States declared a national emergency regarding COVID-19. Whereas on March 16th, 2020, Bell County officials announced that Bell County is currently in stage 2 of its COVID-19 action plan. Whereas Belton ISD has ordered the emergency closures of all of its district facilities for March 16 through March 20, 2020, and recognizes that additional emergency closures may be necessary and may occur after March 20th, 2020, whereas Belton ISD is committed to continuing to provide educational services to its students and plans to leverage existing resources to do so, whereas some purchases over $50,000 may need to be made and budget amendments approved expeditiously in order to meet the needs of Belton ISD, its students and staff during emergency closures, and whereas Belton ISD believes that a significant public purpose exists in providing assurances to its staff regarding their employment during the emergency closures in order to retain staff and reduce turnover, support and increase morale, and smooth the transition to the eventual reopening of district facilities. It is therefore resolved that 1, the emergency closure of all Belton ISD facilities is a necessary and appropriate response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that additional closures beyond March 20th, 2020 may be warranted. Number 2, the Board of Trustees authorizes continued wage payments to all permanent employees, contractual and non-contractual, salaried and non-salaried, who are instructed not to report to work during the emergency closures. Number 3, employees not instructed to report to work during the emergency closures shall not be considered absent for the purposes of applying leave and absences as described in the Belton ISD Employee Handbook. Number 4, the superintendent is delegated the authority to make decisions regarding the compensation of employees during an emergency closure, including premium payments to certain employees, and to implement those decisions. Number 5, the superintendent is delegated the authority to create guidelines and make determinations regarding absences, leave time, leave days, and compensation of any employee who is quarantined as a result of COVID-19 and/or who tests positive for COVID-19 and who presents appropriate medical documentation regarding themselves and/or an immediate family member in compliance with Texas and federal law. Number 6, the superintendent is delegated the authority to procure, negotiate, and execute contracts for goods and services of $50,000 or greater value and approve budget amendments without board approval that are necessary due to the COVID-19 emergency closures in order to provide necessary goods and services, reduce the impact of closures on district operations, and maintain district equipment, facilities, and property, given that the emergency of COVID-19 and its potential spread constitutes an unforeseen emergency / matter of urgent public necessity. And finally, number 7, in the event other waivers or immediate action is needed, the superintendent is authorized to take other action and to apply for other waivers in accordance with guidance and instructions from the national and state authorities and/or agencies. The superintendent shall report to the board at the next called board meeting all actions taken pursuant to the authority granted herein, adopted on this 17th day of March, 2020 by the Belton ISD Board of Trustees.
So I would add that this resolution, it gives the superintendent the authority to make those decisions without the bureaucracy of a board meeting, because sometimes, especially now, the climate is ever-changing, and you need to be able to make those decisions. You've been very thorough in ensuring that we're updated on a daily, sometimes hourly basis as things change, and we will continue to trust that that will continue. Just really appreciate, again, all that you've done. And as far as our employees are concerned, how amazing is it that we're going to ensure that they're not penalized for something that none of us saw coming? You know, I heard it said that this was an invisible enemy. It is. But we all here at Belton, we're going to take care of our staff. We're going to take care of our kiddos. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as read. Mr. Norwood, is there a second? Mr. Alcozer, all in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously.
Madam President, if I may, I just
You
want
may.
to thank you from a superintendent standpoint. I will be very honest with the board and the public. This is not the way I anticipated conducting my first board meeting in Belton ISD. But the fact that you are prioritizing student learning and staff morale and helping us do the right things for people in our district each and every day, I appreciate the responsibility. I understand that with that responsibility comes a lot of hard work, and we are committed to that hard work to make sure that we are doing what's best for our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, you know, for someone who's just 1 week, 2 weeks on the job, he's doing quite well, and he's keeping us all very informed, and we're super blessed and happy to have Matt Smith here with us.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Madam President,
Any-
may I make one comment?
Absolutely.
The resolution, in my view, is well thought out, very appropriate under the circumstances, and quite necessary under the circumstances, so hence the approval.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding Texas Education Agency attestation statement. Presenter, Dr. Smith.
Yes, so Madam President, members of the board, this form and this attestation is obviously new from TEA. This is based on our COVID-19 pandemic that we have. This attests to the fact that we understand in order to waive some of the minute requirements that we have from the state of Texas, we have to continue to work to make sure that we are providing learning opportunities for our kids. I know that this is something that's on the mind of our board of trustees, that our core purpose is educating the kids in our district. I know it's on the minds of parents. I know it's on the minds of kids too. And what this attestation does is it says to the state of Texas that we are going to take that seriously. We are not canceling school and not just not providing learning opportunities. In the event of additional cancellations, we are going to be providing learning opportunities for our students. And we are in the middle of a thorough planning process. I can assure you that we began that quickly when this started to escalate, and that we will continue those efforts, and we will get those learning opportunities out to students as soon as possible, making sure that we're prioritizing the learning of each and every student in our system and not just some of the students in our system.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept this as presented. Is there a motion? Mr. Taggart, second by Mr. Floor. All in favor, please raise your hand. And I will remind you that Dr. Montgomery is online voting as
She's
well.
there.
Thank you. So that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Awesome. So the next item is our consent agenda. Does the board have any item they wish to have pulled for further discussion? I see no takers. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Ms. Lee, is there a second? Mr. Alcozer, all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay. So with there being no further business, unless you all have something further, I will say this, our meeting that was scheduled for next Monday, this meeting today is taking its place. We will talk in future discussions about when our next meeting will be and what it looks like, and depends on what's going on out there, whether or not we come together in person or not. So, nothing further, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.